channel. My name is Kelly Ishmael, and in this video, I'm going to share my Lightroom editing process for creating a moody look and feel to this flat lay photo. Here's my photo straight out of the camera. Just to give you a little bit of background about this photo, every month I create desktop calendars for my website, and I create a top-down or a flat lay style photo. And you can see here it's shot from the top down with all of my little bits and bobs here. Also, really quick, I will put a link to those desktop calendars in the caption. For my desktop calendars, since they'll be used on a screen, the first thing that I like to do is crop my photo. And to do that, I will come over to the crop tool here. And for the aspect ratio, I choose 16:9 since that works for most screens. And I'm just going to pull that crop in just a little bit, arrange it so that I have room to add my calendar a little later. And just to make sure that it's kind of balanced. Obviously, I've got a little bit of space here, but I just want to make sure that it's fairly well balanced. I've got most of the main parts of my image in the frame, and that looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter on my keyboard. And then next, I'm going to come to this transform panel, and I'm going to use this auto option. I used a overhead camera tripod to shoot this, but even still, sometimes top-down images can be kind of wonky. So if I click on auto, that should make sure that it's straightened a little bit and the perspective is just right. So I think that looks fine right there. Okay, next I'm going to add a preset. In the past, I have done the process all on my own using different presets that come with Lightroom. Recently, though, I found these presets from Pretty Presets, and it's the MUSE collection that I absolutely loved. It's 100% my style, really just a timeless classic, a little bit vintage, all of the things that I love in the look of a photo. So super happy with these presets. I've been using them for about a month and a half, and I will link those also in the captions below. But you can, I've got them filtered here for just ease of going through my presets, but these are the presets and some of the tools that came with that package. There are 9 different overall looks, and if you hover over any of the names you can see in the navigator above, it gives you a little bit of a preview of what that looks like. It's also got some AI brushwork tools and just a lot of, it's just a great preset collection. Okay, so for this particular photo, I really like this Muse 01, and you can see with just one click that it has created this really warm, textured, a little bit vintage, a little bit desaturated. I just love it. One click. It's awesome. One nice thing is you can above the presets, kind of in this between the navigator and the presets, there's a slider here, and you can adjust the amount of the preset to give more of the look or to kind of tone down the look. I actually like it right there. I think it's just I'm just using the default, which is 100. I think it's just great. I'm super pleased with that. So even still with that one click, awesome, um, awesome look here, I will go in and adjust a few of the sliders in the basic panel. I'm going to add a little more texture. Texture adds a little bit more fineness to things that already have texture. It just adds a little bit more emphasis to those areas. And so I have the wooden backdrop, the wooden board. There's a lot of texture in the greenery and in the flower petals. So this image in general has a lot of texture. So I would just like to play that up a little bit. I might also bump up the clarity just a tiny bit, just to give it that extra little bump of contrast. All of the tone curve, color mixer, color grading, all of those elements have already been included in the preset with the one click, so I'm not going to adjust those. One thing I will do though is go ahead and adjust the sharpening and noise reduction. All digital images need a little bit of sharpening, and so what I usually do is increase the slider maybe in this 3/4 strength zone right here. But then I will hold down my option key and use the masking slider, and that will show you where the masking will be applied. And if you look in the preview there, I really only want the masking to be right around the main elements of the image. So I'm going to mask or take off quite a bit of that sharpening. So that's making a nice quick image. Sorry, there's a little bit of delay when I'm recording videos, but you can see where the sharpening has been applied just in these little white areas. And now I have a nice sharp image that I can go ahead and proceed with. All right, for noise reduction, I shot this photo using an ISO of 1600, and so there's a little bit of digital noise when you shoot with that a little bit higher ISO. So I'm going to just move this luminance slider over about a third of the way, and then maybe add the color slider about the same. And what that's going to do is smooth out some of the areas where there would be a lot of grain. Sometimes green is great in an image if especially a vintagey type image, but for this I wanted a nice sharp photo, but without a lot of grain. Oftentimes when I'm editing a photo, I will add a little bit of a vignette, but for this photo, it's already dark around the sides and the top, just because of the nature of the photo and the nature of the preset. And this way I won't lose any of those elements in that background. So I'm not going to add a vignette this time. But what I would like to do is bring this photo into Photoshop so that I can add a little bit of texture and play around with it just a little bit more with some other tools that come with Photoshop. So I'm going to right click on my photo and I'm going to say Edit in Photoshop 2024. All right, my photo here in Photoshop. And what I would like to do is add some texture, like a film grain type of thing. And to do that, I am going to use a set of textures that I downloaded from Chris Spooner Graphics. It was a free download. I subscribed to his newsletter, and there was uh, a, a great gift of a bunch of different textures. So I will place a link to his website. I don't know if he still offers these textures, but um, anyway, that's where I got them. And they're really fun to apply to a photo because it does give you that kind of aged look to a photo, that kind of reinforcing that vintage vibe. And there are several different textures that came with that pack. One that I've liked playing with a little bit is these vintage photo texture overlays, and they're just a bunch of different looks. I can show you a few here. You can see in the preview, you just overlay these and some of that texture will then come on your photo. So let's just try this vintage photo texture overlay number 9. And so I'm going to just put it on top of my photo. And then if I hold down my option key and drag these handles, it will enlarge it from the center. And I'm going to drag it all the way across my image. And it doesn't really matter that part of it's cut off because of the crop of my photo. It doesn't really matter. I'm just trying to get a little bit of that texture on top of my photo. Okay, so to apply the texture or to get just the texture, I'm going to use the soft light overlay mode. So it's the opacity is currently 100%. And so that you can see, especially if I zoom here in this lighter area, you can see it's got kind of little splotches and splatters. It's a fun look. It's a little too much for what I would like. So I'm going to reduce the opacity quite a lot. And you can either do it here with this slider, or you can hover over the opacity, this word, and just drag it to the left. And that will reduce the opacity. And you can see there, that's reducing quite a lot. You can, my advice with any kind of texture or overlay or anything like that on a photo, less is usually more. That just is my personal philosophy. Here the photo is without the texture, and here it is with. It's subtle, but I think it just adds, like I said, just reinforces that really cool vintage vibe. Okay, the last thing that I want to add to this is a filter. And so I'm going to come over here to this adjustment layer. This tool is kind of a half circle, and I'm going to use a photo filter. Nope, yes, photo filter. That's the one. And I'm going to move it down below because I only want to apply it to the photo. I don't want to apply it to the overlay as well. But for this, I'm going to use the warming filter. Here it is without the warming filter. And you can see it just adds a little bit of warmth to the photo. Once again, I'm going to reduce the opacity quite a bit so that it's fairly subtle because I did like the tones before. So here it is before the warming filter and after. And this is without the photo texture. And here it is after. I might reduce that even just a little bit more. And I can go ahead and do Command S to save the photo. I'm super happy with how this turned out. It's got, like I said, that great vintage kind of film vibe. It reinforces some of the other, vintagey pieces that I have in my photo. As a final step, I'm going to add the PNG calendar to this image, and here it is right here. These are a free gift that I offer to my blog subscribers, so I will include a link to be able to subscribe to my blog as well. And I make these every year, which is a lot of fun for me. And what I'm going to do is just size it to kind of fit in this blank space. And then I'm going to just zoom in a bit so I can see exactly where it's going. And just move it so that this dark gap between the boards is kind of between this row of dates here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit enter to accept that. And I would like to change the color up to white so that it really stands out. So I'm going to hit I on my keyboard, and I'm going to select a white tone here on my image so that it's really nice and bright, but still, works with the tones that are in my image. All right, so I'm going to make sure that I'm clicked on that layer. I'm going to use the Shift Delete shortcut on my keyboard, and I'm going to use the foreground color that I just selected. I am going to make sure this Preserve Transparency option is checked. That means I'm only going to be changing the color of the colored pixels. I won't change the background. It keeps the background transparent, so to speak. Okay, clicking OK on my keyboard, and then that changed the color. One thing I often do is do Command J on my keyboard a few times. That just makes the text stand out a little bit more against the background so that you can really see the dates. And there you have it. This is the process for creating my desktop calendar. And like I said, I'll include links to some of the things that I mentioned in the captions below. Let me know if you have any questions at all. And as always, thank you so much for watching.